Welcome to the 26th Annual Columbia Values Diversity Celebration. I am Monica Naylor, and I will represent the Event Planning Committee today as the Mistress of Ceremonies. We would like to thank Neil Wegerson and John Lane for the wonderful music during our breakfast. Let's give them a hand. I would like to take a moment to ask everyone to please turn off their cell phones. Also, if you need to leave early this morning, please do so through the side doors on the north side of the room. Please stand while the Columbia Fire Department Honor Guard presents the colors and we enjoy the singing of our national anthem by Simone Sparks.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing for the honor guard to leave and for an invocation written by members of Faith Voices of Columbia and presented by Iman Eldeeb, Brittany Hughes, and Brad Bryan.
Holy One, known by many names and in many ways, as our community gathers to celebrate the power of diversity and the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.,
we recall his exhortation that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic.
As we gather this morning in the halls of power, surrounded by decision makers, business leaders, and trend setters, let us recall the moral power of all those not in this room, those who cannot afford this breakfast, but whose thriving is the powerful moral mandate of our community.
Our community loves diversity, but let us recall today that love is anemic without the commitment to use our power in the service of inclusion, equity, mutual thriving, knowing that our difference is only a strength when we invite it to join us in our power.
Today, we remember Dr. King's radical teaching that threatened the status quo. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against that love.
And God, we pray now that you might correct in us everything that stands against love.
Every fear of the other, every suspicion of scarcity, every clenching greed, every immobilizing complacency.
Correct in us every instinct to build walls, when you have commanded us to welcome the stranger and to love our neighbor.
Help us to know that our own thriving is bound up in the well-being of each and all, the single garment of destiny, where power is shared, freedom is realized.
Help us to answer your calling to courage, productive discomfort, and bold action in the face of every injustice, knowing that our own souls are at stake every time dignity is denied.
As we remember Dr. King's life and death, let us be reminded that justice is costly. It asks of us our bodies on the line, power flipped upside down, our whole hearts, the commitment of our lives.
Let us declare that justice is worth the cost.
Our human family is worth the cost.
Love is worth the cost.
Only then will we live out his legacy.
Only then will we be liberated.
Amen.
Thank you. On the stage, you can see 3 mural banners created by teen artists from Columbia Parks and Recreation's CARE Art Gallery program. This artwork serves as the backdrop for today's celebration, representing our theme, the power of diversity. Read more about the artwork in your program. Also, in your program, you will find a calendar of community events that commemorate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. On your table, you will find a compilation of writings by students of the 4th through 12th grades from schools throughout Columbia. McDonald's Restaurants of Columbia has again generously sponsored the Student Writings Program. To highlight the program and the young voices of Columbia, we would like to present a video produced by Columbia's City Channel featuring a selection of students whose writings are in the booklet.
Hi, my name is Rosemary, and these are my thoughts on diversity. I think everybody should respect the differences of everybody. When I am saying this, I mean whether your skin color is different or your eye color, or whether you may need help with something. I think no matter what your differences are, you should be able to participate in everything.
Hello, my name is Jaylee, and this is my poem. Diversity means okay to be different. To me, diversity is a strange type of coolness. It can show you all the wonderful things in people. Diversity helps us to see how different is okay. It shows you how you can become yourself around others. Diversity isn't just about being different, it's about finding yourself. Without this diversity, we would not be able to sit in the same room together. Diversity is all around us, teaching us who we are. Sometimes I wonder if diversity is meant for us to come together.
Hello, my name is Sumant, and this is Diverse. Diverse. not alike, different, varied, all kinds. Being unlike others. Being diverse is not bad in my eyes, but for others it has a different meaning. Diverse, unwelcome, unsafe, weird. But really, who's the unsafe one? Bullies. They're mean. Make fun of you for your culture. They say we don't have a brain, but I say we all do have a brain. But that doesn't mean we see things the same ways. When you look outside, what do you see? A place full of difference, not similarity. Open your eyes and what would you normally see? People. Just people. Nothing special. But if you look closely, you see people. All kinds of people. White people, black people, Asian people, Australian people, African people, and European people. We're all different, you see, but no one thinks about it, usually. On the outside, we all do the same things. Eat, sleep, go to school, work, worry, laugh, and joke. But we all do it differently. What we do echoes one word and one word only. Diverse.
Hi, my name is Alejandra, and this is What It Means to Be a Latina. Diversity. I am diversity. When white men and women picture diversity, I am what comes to mind. A first-generation Mexican-American and a young teen mom. What more can you ask for? Unfortunately, for some of you, that's not enough. You want my accent to be thicker, my hips to be bigger. You expect me as a Latina to crumble in school and give myself away to your cookie-cutter ideals of who you think I should be. You expect my vocabulary to be small and my voice to be loud because of the stereotypes that have been written for me before I was old enough to crawl. Dr. King had a dream that one day people would not be judged by the color of their skin but by the content of their character. We are taught every year of the injustice in the way people were treated. And although the hate and racism we see today doesn't compare to that of the early 1900s and before, those problems are still present, and that needs to change. Colombia is known to celebrate diversity, but forgets to celebrate diverse people. You celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Dia de los Muertos, but then go to work and school and degrade Latinos for being too ethnic. Change won't happen overnight. However, Colombia needs to be the change we want to see in the world. We, as a community, need to be more accepting to cause a chain reaction around the states.
One of the reasons why Columbia is often recognized as one of the nation's best cities is because we have leadership that recognizes and promotes diversity and inclusion. For this, the presentation of the 22nd Annual Columbia Values Diversity Awards, we are honored to have our mayor, Brian Treese.
Thank you, Monica. And thank you to those students who provided such a thoughtful soliloquy on diversity. I think we can all take great comfort in knowing that our community and our world are in good hands if we just let the next generation lead. If you were here last year, as I welcomed you to the 25th Annual Diversity Awards breakfast, I implored each of us not to leave this breakfast and go back to work and fall into a sense of complacency or comfort, where the next day comes, and then the next week, and then the next month, and pretty soon a year has passed, and we're back here together at the annual diversity breakfast, now 26 years later. And so I encouraged everyone to take a passport on a journey to inclusive excellence and to put our words into actions over the next 12 months. And I want to thank everyone in our community who participated in a lecture or a presentation or a movie or a discussion about diversity, and challenge yourself and your organizations to do more. For me, I was proud to stand with the University of Missouri and the Columbia Chamber of Commerce and our Regional Economic Development Authority and great companies like Veterans United and Shelter Insurance and Central Bank to sign a statement of community principles where we stated unequivocally that we reject discrimination in any form based on race or religion or gender or sexual orientation or gender identity or gender expression. You can be proud that the City of Columbia for the last 2 years in a row has earned a perfect score on the Human Rights Campaign's Municipal Equality Index for our non-discrimination policies and our reputation for equality. We are just one of 2 cities in the state of Missouri to earn a perfect score. And sadly, we are just one of 78 cities in the entire country to earn such a distinction. This is Columbia, Missouri, and you are welcome here. Because in the current political reality, welcoming cities like Columbia are more important than ever. Because when we make Columbia a welcoming place to live and work, our economy responds enthusiastically. People want to move here. They want to send their children to college here. They want to start small businesses here. Today, we recognize those individuals and organizations that have helped us along the way during this journey over the last 12 months and the last 25 years. Each year, the City of Columbia gives both an individual award and a group award to those whose work in the community exemplifies that of the teachings and lessons of Dr. King. Our nominees are listed in your program along with our previous award winners. And a panel of judges selected by the Planning Committee is charged with choosing the Columbia Values Diversity Award winners. This year's judges were the Reverend James Gray, Brian Jones, a previous recipient of our Diversity Award, Phil Peters, Annabelle Simmons, Stacy Smith, and Lorelei Wilson. Their decisions were based on the criteria of promoting an appreciation for diversity and cultural understanding in our community, community work which exemplifies the teachings of Dr. King in fostering individual dignity and racial equality and understanding and peacemaking and solving problems through nonviolence. And lastly, engagement in this activity for an extended period of time with significant activity in Columbia in the preceding year. Of course, Columbia has many people who work for equal opportunity for all, and the decisions are never easy. But it's with great pleasure that I now present the 2019 Columbia Values Diversity Awards, beginning with the Individual Award. This year's winner of the Individual Award is Carrie Utterback. And for those who know Carrie, it should be no surprise that she is not with us today, because she is in St. Louis attending a training, the Understanding and Analyzing Systemic Racism workshop led by the Crossroads organization. Carrie is actually doing the work instead of seeking the recognition for it. And that training will allow her to come here and repeat that training as a facilitator for all of us. I had the opportunity to present the award to Carrie earlier this month, and we had a good conversation about what she has done in our community and for the City of Columbia to promote diversity. She's worked to promote an appreciation in every facet of her life. In her work as a social service specialist for the Columbia-Boone County Department of Public Health and Human Services, Carrie has continually sought to expand her cultural understanding and work to educate city employees as a facilitator of the Building Inclusive Communities program. The training is an opportunity for all city employees to learn more about the topics of age and gender and sexual orientation, race, religion, and more. And from what my experience has been, and those who walk away from that program, they have a greater understanding about how to make a real difference in their work environment, in their families, in our schools, our community, and their own lives. Carrie Utterback is a member of the Matters of Social Justice Committee, and she's an active facilitator on that journey to inclusive excellence. And as part of the committee, Carrie works to collaborate with others to continue facilitating change in our community. She works with the group to create educational experiences and raise awareness and provide strategies to bring together a community committed to inclusive excellence. The selection committee noted that when something is happening in the community, Carrie is there. And her selfless service in our community exemplifies the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Please join me in recognizing Carrie Utterback. This next award is indeed special to me. For the group award, will the representatives of Room at the Inn please come forward? For over 10 years, Room at the Inn has provided a safe, warm shelter for Columbia's homeless population during our winter months. In 2008, Reverend Jim Bryan of the Missouri United Methodist Church and several downtown churches realized Columbia had a critical need for an indoor winter shelter for dozens of individuals in our community experiencing homelessness. It's special when our churches open their doors and reflect what the Bible teaches us, but is often hard to practice. Each winter season, from early December to early March, the shelter moves 5 to 7 times, with area churches opening their doors to provide space for guests. And unlike other shelters, Room at the Inn is a damp shelter, which means that individuals who are under the influence will be admitted, often the last resort for guests. The shelter is a refuge for those with nowhere else to go. The dedicated volunteers provide 90% of the operational support and shelter staffing, including signing up for the evening and overnight and early morning shifts. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concern to the broader concern of all humanity." Room at the Inn puts those words into action every winter. And they have taken the concern for their neighbors and acting by treating each individual with care, recognizing the dignity of each person. Please join me in recognizing Room at the Inn.
Thank you, Mayor Treese. And congratulations to the winners of this year's awards. Now, the Inclusive Impact Institute would like to present a video about this past year's journey toward inclusive excellence, followed by a few words by its director, Nikki Magruder.
Everyone felt comfortable that this sounds like a phenomenal plan. We want in.
Really make those difficult conversations teaching opportunities where we can learn and grow from one another. opportunity came with the Diversity Awareness Partnership at the time, and they were branching out into this community to bring a diversity and inclusion presence to Columbia. The spring of 2015 is when we introduced this organization to the community. The fall of 2015, we had a lot going on campus and in our community. And I feel like we were in the right place at the right time because we were able to be in position in the community to convene the community to talk through what was going on campus and why it wasn't exclusive to campus and why we needed to start having these conversations in the community.
Developed it in concert with the wonderful University of Missouri community organically, and having a conversation in the community, a local community, and members asked for some kind of bold idea. And I said, well, what if we just recreated this framework, removed the higher ed references and allowed it to serve as a backdrop for our city and our county and our state? And what if we became the nation's first inclusive excellence city? And they thought it had merit.
He made sure that everyone had a say-so in the framework. And when it was completed and everyone was on board with it, then I saw the development of how it just mushroomed out into the community.
Let's do this and create different opportunities for people to mitigate their biases. And out of those conversations, we came up with that very creative team, came up with the passport because it's a journey. And we wanted people to understand it's not just a one-time event. This is a journey, it's ongoing.
Folks would be like, hey, have you heard about this? Are you going? And I would carry my passport book with me and I'd show them, be like, yeah, I'm going, you gotta go too. And I would take passport books with me to different events to help spread the word.
And I have quite a few stamps. Sweet Honey on the Rock, fabulous concert with some wonderful, wonderful women of color. And Eve Ewing, she is a spoken word artist. She came to the Women's Center and she was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, when there's opportunities to celebrate, like the beauty in our differences, we do that.
Just seeing people dance and being engaged and laughing and listening and just enjoying themselves. And the conversations were amazing.
A privilege walk where we talked about economic class that was really impactful. That was my absolute largest workshop that I've ever tried to facilitate. It was like 40 people. And it was uncomfortable and people were crying and it was so impactful. The community, again, at the end of the event said, we want more.
We just wanted this to be as many teachable moments and experiences as we possibly could.
It was always really intentional that we would work on systems and we would work on the personal work that you have to do to be able to recognize oppression and recognize privilege and things like that.
As the executive director of a nonprofit that predominantly serves minorities that live in poverty, and I went to my first poverty simulation. And I walked out kind of wanting to cry. How hard it is for folks in poverty, I really had no idea. And that was really, really impactful. How hard that is for them every single day. And so, I didn't grow up in poverty, and you can talk to folks and learn about, what their life is like. But to experience it at that level And to walk you, those poverty simulations were just amazing because they put you in it and you felt it.
We want it to just be a wide range because we don't all have the same biases. We don't all have the same challenges. And we wanted to cover as many as we possibly could.
Yeah, and I think it has to be an ongoing journey, right? Because cultures don't change overnight. Opinions don't change overnight. Those lenses that we put on, you have to wear them down to get past them.
It's a continuous journey to mitigate the biases that are just a part of who we are because of how we are raised, the families we're born into, the communities we're born into, the teachers we've had, the media that drops messages in our spirits all the time. So it's a continuous work to mitigate our biases.
It takes more than 1 year to do it. So I'm really excited about that, and I think we need it. I think we need an ongoing journey. I think we need a 5-year commitment to really make some positive change that's going to stick.
A wonderful thing to say, you know what, you made a difference.
It was pretty awesome.
It's just been a beautiful sight to see.
Good morning. Thank you. You have to love technology first. That video is amazing, and you'll be able to see it online after this. But I'm going to ask the Journey Committee, the Matters of Social Justice team, to come on stage. You've heard a couple of times already this morning. It's a journey. It has to be continuous. So when we talk about the change that we want to see, the Columbia that we want to see, I am so encouraged by this community that we live in. And I hope that you are too. We can look outside at all of the challenges that are going on in the world, but we can look at our community right here and know that we are doing the work. It didn't take us overnight to get here. It's not going to be 1 year, 1 day, one event, namely the breakfast, to get us out of it. So we have to understand that it's a journey. It's a journey to see the change that we want to realize. I asked the committee to come on stage because we have been working intentionally going into our second year now. We're kicking off the journey for the second year again today. So you'll be able to pick up passports out in the foyer after we're done. But what I love about what this committee was able to do, I explained to you last year, we just sat in a room and said, this is what we want to do. We want to make sure that we create opportunities for our community to come together, and they don't have to do the work by themselves. Sometimes it's lonely, and we shy away from trying to do the work because it's uncomfortable. And you heard me say before, you have to get to a place of being comfortable with being uncomfortable as we realize the change we want to see. So this committee has been working tirelessly to create experiences so that we can all be seen as human first. We're human first. We love diversity. You heard in the invocation this morning, Brittany shared, Columbia is a city that loves diversity, and we do. We absolutely love diversity. But our challenges, the work that we need to do comes in loving inclusion, valuing the diversity that you have, learning how to appreciate all the voices and different experiences that are at the table. So this journey is about doing just that. If you take the implicit association test and it says you have an issue or challenges with race, then guess what? We have experiences that you can go to where you can be with others that are doing the work as well. And it's continuous because we want to be seen as human first. And what I love about this isn't just one organization. The work that we need to do to realize that change that we speak of is bigger than one person. It's bigger than one organization. You see representation around city, county, public education, the university, for-profit, nonprofit. We are all at the table trying to figure this out for the community that we love. So we encourage you, business leaders, you have a little half sheet on your tables that talks about inclusive excellence Boone County. We have opportunities for businesses to come to different sessions where you can learn about the inclusive excellence framework that Dr. Kevin McDonald introduced to our community a couple of years ago. And you can learn how to incorporate that framework into your respective businesses and organizations so you can create inclusive environments where every employee feels like they have a place. For the individuals, which includes each and every one of us humans in the room, each and every one of you can go to different experiences in the journey. And it's not, you have your passport, it has several that we sit in a room again, and we try to come up with all of the experiences and find places that we can do it and facilitators for them. But you'll see this year we have lots of space in the back where you can add experiences because there are several organizations that are doing great work, several leaders that are doing great work, and we're going to promote that. So what you need to do, you need to like us on Facebook. Journey Toward Inclusive Excellence. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, I think, yeah. You can join us, like us on Facebook. We also have a web page, so Inclusive Excellence. The Institute, Inclusive Impact Institute, I know all of this inclusiveness, but you can find us on Facebook, get plugged in, because we are constantly going to be promoting opportunities for you to mitigate biases because it's not a one-time event. If you're really serious about creating a community like no other, where everyone, as soon as they hit city limits or county limits, they're like, oh, there's something different about this community. We claim that. We want that, and we can do that. We are not without our challenges, but we are doing the work. Pick up your passports here today. Pick up your passports at the library, City Hall, the county, the health department. There are so many places, but get plugged in and we'll keep you apprised of everything that's going on. What did I miss, committee? The shirts, the human shirts. You can be human too. Or at least you can advertise it. So go to the Inclusive Impact Institute page. You can like us on Facebook there too, and we can get you a shirt because it shows all the ingredients that make us human. Can you see that? But yeah, at the end of it, you see that, oh wow, we're all comprised of the same things. We're all comprised of the same things. So we value our differences, but we have to realize at the end of the day, we're human first. So let's do this work together. The journey continues. Thank you.
Now, under the direction of Audra Sergel, may I present our artistic program, The Power of Diversity, which will weave together choral performances along with individual stories from members of our community. Creator and producer of the We Project, Valerie Berta Torales, will introduce this morning's program.
Good morning. I didn't hear you. I'm deaf. Good morning. My name is Valerie Berta Torales. I am a Columbia resident, a proud alumnus of the Missouri J School. I'm also a mother, a photographer, and an activist. The project you're about to discover is all these hats in the service of one goal: photography to make the world a better place for my kids. And for your kids, too. Because here's the thing about diversity. It's the path to a better future for all, not just a few. The We Project, in photographs and videos and words and actions, highlights people who belong to marginalized communities in Columbia and mid-Missouri. These communities share a painful history of discrimination in Columbia as around the nation. And with the recent rise in extremism, I believe it's extremely urgent that they be accepted, celebrated, and supported. Because they are who we are. I believe it is essential for us in Columbia to confront our past and our present in order to move forward. We must do the work of addressing our history, calling it by its name, whether it be racism, xenophobia, bigotry, homophobia, or ableism, in order to move forward into a more inclusive future. I also believe it is essential for us in Columbia to have a constructive, if sometimes difficult and uncomfortable dialogue about inclusion, equity, and diversity, because in accepting and seeing and supporting each other in our differences, we are all stronger. Thank you.
What does being a minority mean? It means people love my culture, but they don't love me. It means I should appreciate things I worked hard for and earned as if they were gifts given to me. It means maybe after I act right, we'll think about equality. It means understanding that American and racism are so intertwined that when I protest, people aren't sure which one I'm protesting. It means being loved when I dance, sing, rap, act, play sports, but being hated if I inconvenience people with my thoughts or with my struggles. It means I'm guilty until proven innocent. It means constantly being told how well-spoken I am. It means living in a country that fights against groups that fight for my rights. It means living in a country that protects groups that fight against them. It means Black Lives Mattering is debatable. It means being told to go back to a country that I've never been to. It means I can't just be an American. I have to be an African American, which is like an asterisk. It means it may not be equal, but it's better than some other countries. So I should just appreciate what I have rather than fighting for what I deserve.
My journey as an immigrant has calloused a spirit of strength, beauty, and wisdom. As an immigrant, if you call me a minority, a criminal, an underachiever, such a sweeping statement only denies your ancestral immigrant's journey. I am not a minority. My difference is the significance that makes this country and the whole world whole. I am Mexican. I am American. I make this country great. Mi jornada como inmigrante ha creado un espíritu de fuerza y sabiduría en mí. Como inmigrante, si me llamas minoritario y criminal, eso solamente borra tu ADN ancestral de inmigrante. No soy minoritario. Al contrario, mi diferencia es el desarrollo global y el desarrollo de este país. Soy mexicano. Soy americano. Yo construyo un país mejor.
And know that victory comes with patience, relief with affliction, and ease with hardship.
Oh
I would never call myself a brave man. I hesitate on any decision with consequence. Every step is a struggle without a plan, and every bold choice met with inner resistance. I am all too aware of the chunks in my armor, and it makes me afraid to step into the fight. But I want to live in a world that is calmer, and I need to be able to sleep at night. I've had a relatively easy transition once I realized I couldn't be her anymore. But it's still a terrifying position, learning to be brave like she wasn't before. After years, I'm adjusting, slowly growing. Forgive me if my bravery is showing.
I suddenly went blind at 24, and what I discovered surprised me. No longer being able to perceive my world through sight certainly wasn't easy, but it wasn't the hardest part. Other people's misconceptions, how they judged my abilities and desires when they saw my disability, was what I found the most disabling. While I've worked on many issues, affordable housing, healthcare access, reproductive choice, fighting predatory lenders, I keep finding myself forced back to fighting for accessibility and disability justice. I've worked with many awesome folks and countless hours on my own in groups like the Mid-Missouri Advocacy Coalition, the American Council of the Blind, the Mid-Missouri Web Accessibility Meetup, and the City of Columbia Disabilities Commission. When you have to advocate for your right to go places, to have housing that works for you, to be included in programs, classes, conferences, even in social gatherings, you get distracted by that. I want to spend my time and energy working on many issues I care about, but sometimes it's a fight in itself just to get to a meeting or rally, or to get materials in a format that I can read. People with disabilities are 20% of the population, but our rights and our desires get overlooked. Not by everyone, and not all the time, but by too many and too often. I believe the future is accessible, and I know that we must keep advocating and educating to get there.
Edge, running on the water, coming to the edge, running on the water, coming to the edge, running on the water, coming to the edge, running on the water, running, 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 coming to the 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 running, 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 coming to the
different than you. Be the courage. Stand in the face of racism, nobility, xenophobia, and Emmanuel.
Be the voice of rightful action. Do the work.
Sons and daughters, let the river run. Let all the dreamers wake the nation. From the new Jerusalem. Silver cities rise, the morning light.
would like to thank all the performers, Valerie Berta Torales and Audra Sergel, for the wonderful performance. Let's give them another hand. This concludes the 2019 Columbia Values Diversity Celebration. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing you next year.